It began like any other Friday in Mumbai. The city was just waking up, the air still cool, the streets slowly filling with the familiar sounds of a new day. People stretched, yawned, and reached for their routines, expecting the world to greet them as it always had. The sun rose. Alarms buzzed. Except, today, nothing worked. The usual chorus of digital beeps and vibrations was missing, replaced by an odd, unsettling quiet. Phones stayed dark. Taps and swipes did nothing. The screens that once glowed with notifications and updates now reflected only confusion. Across the world, a silent digital dawn broke. In every time zone, from bustling metropolises to quiet suburbs, the same eerie stillness settled in. People reached for their devices, only to find them lifeless. The first instinct was disbelief. Maybe it was just a glitch, a momentary hiccup. The usual rituals, checking Gmail, scrolling YouTube, asking Google Assistant, were met with silence. No emails, no videos, no answers to the simplest questions. This wasn't a server outage, it was a void. The digital heartbeat of daily life had stopped, leaving only emptiness in its place. Smart speakers ignored commands. Thermostats lost their settings. Chromecasts showed only black screens. Even the devices that ran our homes had gone silent, as if the world itself was holding its breath. At first, these were minor annoyances. People shrugged, thinking it would pass, that the digital world would soon reboot itself. But as minutes passed, the scale became terrifyingly clear. The anxiety grew, spreading from one household to the next, from one city to another. It was as if a colossal switch had been flipped, erasing a fundamental utility. The invisible infrastructure that powered our lives had simply vanished. Confusion turned to panic. My email isn't loading. My work is on hold. How will I send that urgent file? My G Drive files are gone. Years of documents, photos, and memories, missing in an instant. I can't access my calendar. Meetings, birthdays, reminders, all vanished, as if the future itself had been erased. The digital tethers to jobs, schools, friends, and memories were severed. Students couldn't join classes, employees couldn't log in, families couldn't share a simple message. For a generation raised with instant information, the missing search bar felt like sensory deprivation. The world's knowledge, once a click away, was suddenly unreachable. The world's collective brain had suffered a stroke. The flow of ideas, answers, and connections was abruptly cut off, leaving a stunned silence. Many thought, my internet is down. The first reaction was to blame the Wi-Fi, the network, the service provider. They rebooted routers, toggled airplane mode, cursed providers. But nothing changed. The silence persisted, deeper and more unsettling with every passing minute. But a glance outside or a call to a neighbor revealed the truth. It wasn't just one home, one street, or one city. It wasn't just their connection, it was the connection. The problem was global. Every continent, every country, every community was affected. The digital giant that organized the world's information had vanished, leaving a gaping hole in modern life. The absence was felt everywhere, from boardrooms to bedrooms. The day had just begun, and the world was already lost. The silence was deafening. It was as if the world had forgotten how to speak. The absence of Google was more than an inconvenience. It was a shock to the system. People felt exposed, vulnerable, and strangely alone. People stared at blank screens, realizing how much they depended on a single company. The realization was sobering, even frightening. The world, suddenly unplugged, was forced to confront its digital fragility. The invisible threads that held society together had unraveled in an instant. And so, the unplugged morning became the day everything changed. In the hush that followed, the world began to wonder, what do we do when the digital lights go out? The first hour was chaos. It was as if the world had been unplugged in an instant, leaving millions to stumble through a sudden digital blackout. Gmail, the world's default email, was gone. No work, no school, no receipts. In offices and classrooms, confusion reigned as communication ground to a halt. People stared at empty inboxes, realizing how much their daily routines depended on a single service. Alternative services like Outlook crashed under the surge. The digital exodus overwhelmed every backup, leaving IT teams scrambling and users desperate for any way to connect. The arteries of global communication were clogged, phone lines jammed, call centers buckled, and messages simply stopped flowing. YouTube, the planet's video library, was a black hole. Screens everywhere flickered with error messages, and the world's favorite distraction vanished, leaving a strange, uneasy quiet. The silence spilled into the streets. Without digital noise, cities felt eerily muted, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Transportation networks halted. Drivers, blind without Google Maps, clogged intersections. Traffic lights blinked, but no one knew where to go. Ride-sharing apps failed. No maps, no rides. Stranded commuters and travelers waited, hoping for a solution that wouldn't come. Finding a place became a monumental task. Near-me searches were history. People rediscovered paper maps and the art of asking strangers for directions. Tourists were stranded. Appointments missed. The world's clockwork rhythm was thrown off, and schedules unraveled everywhere. The world, once small and accessible, felt vast and intimidating. Distances grew, and the familiar became foreign overnight. Businesses couldn't verify appointments. Emergency services struggled as citizens couldn't report locations. Even the most basic coordination became a challenge. The intricate Google-powered web that managed daily logistics was torn apart. Deliveries stalled, warehouses backed up, and supply chains frayed at every link. The world learned digital infrastructure wasn't just a convenience, it was the foundation. Our invisible networks had become the backbone of modern life, and that foundation had just crumbled, leaving billions to face a reality they never imagined, one where silence and confusion reigned. The next wave was the Great Lockout. The sign-in with Google button became a dead end, locking billions out of countless sites and apps. Websites hosted on Google Cloud or using Google fonts broke or vanished. The internet looked like a ghost town, unformatted, broken, empty. Developers lost access to analytics, documents, and years of work. The web's creators were as helpless as its users. The absence of Google revealed just how centralized and fragile the internet had become. The economic fallout was immediate. Google's ad network vanished, decapitating online commerce. Small businesses relying on Google Ads became invisible overnight. Stock markets crashed. Alphabet's value plummeted, dragging others down. Google Pay disappeared. Millions lost access to digital money. Companies with data on Google Drive or Cloud were paralyzed. Customer lists, financial records, and intellectual property were trapped or lost. Google wasn't just a search engine, it was economic infrastructure. Its disappearance was like the collapse of global shipping or banking. The music stopped, and the global economy stumbled into darkness. The personal cost was immeasurable. For many, it felt like waking up to find the walls of their home erased, the photos on the mantle vanished, and the letters from loved ones burned away overnight. Billions lost their memories, photos, videos, documents, stored on Google servers. In an instant, years of birthdays, graduations, and everyday moments disappeared, leaving only empty folders and blank screens behind. Google Photos, Drive, and Gmail held our visual history, conversations, and vital records. Students lost research, writers lost manuscripts, families lost legal documents. The digital archives we trusted were gone, and with them, the stories of our lives. The promise of the cloud, safe, permanent, accessible, was shattered. What was once a symbol of security became a reminder of how fragile our digital world truly is. Our digital pasts were erased. We became strangers to our own histories. Families gathered, searching for traces of what was lost, clinging to the few physical mementos that remained. The data void forced a reckoning. Access isn't ownership. We realized too late that convenience had come at the cost of control. We had traded our memories for convenience, never realizing the risk. The ease of uploading and sharing blinded us to the dangers of putting everything in one basket. The disappearance of Google was a brutal lesson in digital fragility. It exposed how quickly the foundations of our digital lives could crumble, leaving us unprepared and vulnerable. If you don't hold your data, you don't own it. True security means having a backup you can touch, not just a password you can remember. The world mourned not just a company, but the loss of its collective memory. In the silence that followed, we were left to reckon with what it truly means to remember, and what it means to forget. In Google's absence, a power struggle erupted. Microsoft pushed Bing and Outlook, but servers buckled under the strain. Apple, less affected, slashed prices and promised privacy and stability. Their walled garden became a digital refuge. Amazon's AWS poached Google's enterprise clients, offering emergency migration. Amazon's search engine was repurposed for the web. Smaller search engines surged, but couldn't keep up. The internet became more centralized, carved up by a few giants. The dream of a decentralized web faded, replaced by new digital kingdoms. The tech wars had begun. For 3 billion Android users, it was an apocalypse. Without Google mobile services, Android phones lost the Play Store, Maps, Gmail, and security updates. Phones became basic, vulnerable devices. Hackers exploited the chaos, security collapsed, manufacturers scrambled to build their own app stores and security, but it was too late. Apps relying on Google APIs failed. The seamless smartphone experience shattered. Android fractured into insecure, incompatible versions. The world's most popular OS became its biggest liability. The Android apocalypse was a warning about building on proprietary foundations. After the shock, society adapted. People returned to physical maps, printed documents, and libraries. Local connections strengthened as people asked for directions and help. Governments invested in national digital infrastructure. The internet became balkanized. Distinct national networks replaced the global web. Startups focused on decentralization and user ownership. Peer-to-peer and blockchain technologies gained traction. The new world was less convenient, but more resilient. People became more conscious of their data and choices. The global brain was damaged, but millions of smaller, stronger networks emerged. The day Google disappeared, we lost more than a tool. We lost part of ourselves. Google was our memory, navigator, and portal. Its absence exposed our vulnerability and forced us to question our digital dependencies. The world became more fragmented, but also more robust. We relearned old skills and became more intentional with information. The single point of failure was replaced by distributed strength. The technologies we take for granted are fragile. The ghost in the machine was, in fact, a part of us all along.